What is up, everybody? This is Atticus the Death Miller. Before we get down to the topic at hand here, just want to let you guys know that I'm doing a GoFundMe campaign to raise money for my senior project, The Drummer. It's a short film that I am raising money for. I'm currently still working on my shot list for The Drummer, and if you could, any donation is acceptable. Just look down in the description below, check out my GoFundMe page, leave any donation, whether it be $5, $10, $20, $50, $100, $200, whatever you can give at me, I would greatly appreciate it. So, there's that, get that out of the way, and let's get down to the topic at hand here. Many of you do know, and it's quite obvious, and this always keeps happening, another mass shooting has happened not too long ago. In Umqua Community College, a very fucked up gentleman by the name of Christopher Harper Mercer decided to go out of his way and shoot a bunch of people. And we now have 294 mass shootings that have happened in this country. I'm not going to sugarcoat it here, people. I really am not going to sugarcoat it here. Do you want to know why countries like Australia, Canada, well, technically Canada had 10 mass shootings. Norway had its Utoya massacre. Sweden. Do you want to know the reason why all those countries get very fucking pissed off and get on our asses for? It's because we have all these fucking mass shootings that happen in this country. Now, I know a lot of you people are really going to get pissed off at me for this. You're probably going to unsubscribe to me. You're probably going to dislike me and call me a libtard duty head. But we need to impose stronger gun regulations. Now, I know a lot of you people are going to be saying this to me. You ain't taking my guns away, Atticus, a libtard alert. You ain't taking my guns away. As soon as that happens, Obama gonna take all of us God-fearing, white, clean white people and send us all to the goddamn FEMA camp. White slavery is vengeance. America, fuck yeah. No, crazy conservative redneck. Obama doesn't want to ban guns. He just wants to regulate them. That's all. Second Amendment right. I have the Second Amendment right to bear arms. America, fuck yeah. Take that, libtards. Take that, you goddamn pussy ass libtards. America, fuck yeah. Okay, you want to bring out the Second Amendment argument? Alright then, let's go and look at the Second Amendment here. The Second Amendment of the United States Constitution reads, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." It just said regulated. I'm pretty sure the Founding Fathers didn't give muskets to, people that were fresh out of the lunatic asylum. Well, then again, people that had mental illness were looked down upon during those times. But then again, times have changed, and there are high-powered assault rifles and stuff, but still, I'm pretty sure the Founding Fathers, even if it was a musket or an AR-15, they wouldn't trust giving those weapons to people with mental illness. But here's the thing, what else is regulated in this country? It does not mean that Obama's gonna take guns away. It just means he wants to impose some very strong regulations. I mean, what is the legal drinking age in this country? To drink alcohol, that is. 21. Why? Because alcohol has been regulated. What about the legal age to drive in this country? 16 to get your learner's permit, 17 or 18 to get your license. What about the legal age to smoke cigarettes? It might vary with other states, but it's, from far I know, the legal age to smoke cigarettes is basically just 18 from what I know. But yeah, that is, though lung cancer and drunk driving are much more higher than gun violence in this country, they have been regulated than back then when deaths upon alcohol and
car accidents and alcoholism in general soared up the roofs. But they're not as big as it was. Still, it's currently bigger than gun violence is. But there's that. Another thing I want to talk about here is that, there are many laws in every state that have to do with guns. Granted, most of them are very light gun laws. But Florida, my state of Florida's gun laws are pretty reasonable. And let's look at it right here. The Florida State Profile, State Constitutional Provision, Article 1, Section 8. The right of the people to keep and bear arms in defense of themselves and of lawful authority of the state shall not be infringed, except that the manner of bearing arms may be regulated by law. There shall be a mandatory period of 3 days, excluding weekends and legal holidays, between the purchase and delivery at retail of any handgun. For the purpose of this section, purchase means the transfer of money or other valuable consideration to the retailer, and handgun means a firearm capable of being carried and used by one hand, such as a pistol or revolver. Holders of a concealed weapon permit, as prescribed in Florida law, shall not be subject to provisions of this paragraph. Anyone violating the provisions of subsection B shall be guilty of a felony. The restriction shall not apply to a trade-in of another handgun. Section 8. The legislature of the state of Florida, in a declaration of policy incorporated in its weapons and firearms statute, recognizes that adult citizens of the state retain their constitutional right to keep and bear firearms for hunting and sporting activities and for the defense of self, family, home, and businesses as collectibles. So there, Florida's gun laws seem pretty reasonable now, is it? I mean, you would have to go through local, state, and federal laws, not to mention take safety classes and also a background check in order to legally own a gun. It does not mean that they're taking guns away. That is what I agree with the gun control nut jobs here. Now down to the gun rights nut jobs here. Now, taking away all guns due to the fact of high rates of suicide and murder and all this other stuff, it does not work. It does not work in this country. We've done prohibition twice. One during the temperance movement in the early 20th century, and where we banned alcohol. That did not work. Crime soared. Then there's a second prohibition, which caused the war on drugs. And oh my fucking god, it's still going on. And I'll leave my buddy Cult of Clusterfuck's video on the description below, in which he explains it perfectly. But we're going to be talking about guns here. Now, let's look up all the stuff of gun violence in America now, shall we? In America, there are 31,672 incidents of gun activity. Every year, guns are used over 80 times more, often to protect a life than to take one. So look at all those blue guns. They are used for self-defense. The dark blue is used for homicide, accident, and suicide. So there you have it, right there. Also, concealed carry in America. An analysis of the FBI crime statistics found that the states that adopted concealed carry laws reduced 8.5% murders, 5% rapes, 7% aggravated assault, and 3% robberies. In which, Chicago pretty much has one of the toughest gun laws, yet it is the murder capital of America due to the black markets and all this other stuff. But Atticus, death metal, we took all guns away in Australia, and yet we have zero gun violence. That's because Australia has a smaller population, therefore the black market in Australia is more expensive. America has a bigger population, therefore the black market's going to cost a lot less. Now, continuing. In 1982, Kennesaw, Georgia passed a law requiring heads of households to keep at least one firearm in the house. The residential burglary rate subsequently dropped 89% in Kennesaw compared to just 10.4% drop in Georgia as a whole. Today, the violent crime rate in Kennesaw is still 85% lower than Georgia or the national average. So pretty much, if you go into someone's house in Kennesaw, Georgia, granted this is going to happen.
Oh shit!
Came in the wrong house, son of a bitch.
God damn it, Second Amendment. Also, not to mention, 3/5 pulled felons say they won't mess with an armed victim. So there's that. And it's funny that I mention Australia for a minute. Yes, they stopped gun violence. They've succeeded. But you take one problem down, you're going to create another one. As in, Australia struggles with the high rate of sexual assault against women. Therefore, a study released today in the Lancet Medical Journal says 16.4% of women 15 years or older in Australia and New Zealand have been the victim of sexual assault by someone who wasn't their partner, i.e. other family members, friends, strangers. This compares to the global average of 7.2%. And how does Australia handle this? They label all men as potential sex offenders. And even as well as labeling all men as potential pedophiles. And I am not making this fucking shit up. I'm serious. There was one case in where a man was at a flight in Australia, sat next to two boys, and the flight attendant told the man to move his seat. Why? Because of his gender. Meanwhile, in America, over 200,000 times a woman uses a gun to defend against sexual abuse every year. And a lot of those times, the woman is left unscathed. So, in Australia, where they have no concealed carry and the woman is sexually assaulted, and therefore, many therapies of PTSD due to that traumatic experience, in America, women use a concealed carry and actually use that concealed carry against a rapist and are left unscathed and no money to spend on therapies to overcome that traumatic experience. There you go. But also, there's another argument that gun control nutjobs like to go by. Suicide. Granted, the firearm suicides are 21,175 in America. Deaths per 100,000 population over 6.7. Yet, Japan pretty much has one of the highest suicide rates in the entire world. Like last year in Japan, more than 25,000 people took their own lives. That's 70 every day. The vast majority were men. Those figures do not make Japan's the highest suicide rate in the world in a developed nation. And not to mention, there's a forest called the Okigahara Forest in where the Japanese go and commit suicide. And this is a country that has one of the toughest gun laws in the world. But drastically, Japan's suicide rate has dropped. It is number 3. Number 2 is Hungary. Number 1 is South Korea. Those countries too have strict gun laws, and they have the highest suicide rates in the entire fucking world. I will say this. We do have a problem with gun violence in this country, but taking guns away is not going to solve it. You know what's gonna solve this mass shooting problem? You want to hear it? You want to hear it? It may seem orthodox to some people, but if you have your notepads, get them ready. Are you ready? Ready? Here we go. In order to stop mass shootings in America, take these signs off of these buildings and put these up. Granted, if you put these signs up and you have a highly armed security detail, gun violence will decrease drastically here. Hell, even hire veterans, newly discharged veterans that are looking for work. I mean, fucking hell. We treat our veterans like absolute shit. Why not give them a second chance to actually help out the American people? They will love to defend the American people by being a highly armed security detail. So that once this situation happens, he would take down the gunman at an instant. But no, we can't risk it. The only thing we can risk in this country is that we have to have the police, the FBI, the ATF, and the National Guard to go through 3.8 million square miles, go through the houses of 330 million American gun owners, and confiscate over 350 million firearms by force. Granted, a lot of those people are not going to go down without a fight. Most of these people would rather start a bloody, violent civil war than risk having their guns taken away. We've already had one civil war happen in this country, and there's already tensions rising. I don't want to see another civil war. And I know a lot of you are going to be using the drone argument, but yeah, I could see that happening. I don't want a drone to strike down nearby my house because a bunch of crazy redneck conservatives are using my house as like some fortress. I don't want that to happen. But no, that's how you're going to take all guns away, all gun violence away. Granted, I mean, if you don't like guns, that's fine by me. If you don't like them, don't get them. And this is another hypocrisy that I love seeing in these gun control nut jobs. These are the same people that say, oh, we should not let people have guns. Yet you're the same people think that the police should be armed. And yet those are the same police officers that enact their violence towards the African American communities. And therefore you shout out Black Lives Matter. Hypocrisy level 9,000 over here. Also, you go around saying that, you should have a right to marry the same sex, the right to have women's rights for abortion. But when it's gun rights, you shouldn't have gun rights at all. You're going to have your stupid gun owners a lot. You're going to have those people. Granted, those people should be owning guns. I know plenty of people who own guns and know what the fuck they are doing. And don't like guns? Don't get them. If you don't like gay marriage, don't infringe their rights. If you don't like abortion, don't force your beliefs onto them. Simple as fucking that. But yeah, that's all I gotta say, and that's putting out my 2 cents over here. You can agree with me, that's fine. If you disagree with me, that's fine by me. That's fine. Just as long as you're not being a dick about it. Without further ado, I am Atticus the Death Metaler. Hope you liked this video. Subscribe to my channel. Links are on the description below. Keep it metal. Have a wonderful day.